Hello and welcome to the Young Entrepreneur Syndicate podcast. Jim Riley here with my partner and friend, Rod Kuntz.
Hi, Jim Riley. How are you?
Hey, great to see you via Zoom and great to get on the recording studio here. Feels like it's been too long.
Well, we missed a week, so we're making up for it today. And You're right. You miss a week of something that's consistent and it's an absence. There's a hole there.
Yeah. Well, I want to jump right into our topic because I've got a good one. And a revelation. Funny how this happens at church. Sometimes you're listening to the pastor, and I love our pastor. I've talked about that before, but I'm listening to him on one side of my brain, and on the other side of my brain, I'm thinking about business. And all of a sudden, my brain just melted the two together. And I have a definitive direction that I want to take my own personal consulting business. And I'll talk more about that later on another show, another time. But what it made me think about is today's topic, and that is values-based leadership. Values-based leadership. And, I had a coaching call earlier with one of my clients today, and we were talking about that subject. And, she had identified her own values in her personal life. And then we started talking about, well, how do we incorporate those into your business life? And we went as far as saying, like, on her bio page, that we incorporate those values so that people can see what she stands for. And she's in the business of helping people. And, when you're paying for a service to be helped, it's nice to know who's helping you and what their values are. What do they stand for? And I think this became a topic really maybe in 2014, 2015. And the reason why I say this became a topic then is because Donald Trump had announced his run for presidency. And everything got very black and white, which to me feels like almost overnight. Do you remember that, Rod? Like, didn't it seem like things got black and white, like real fast, huh?
Yes. Well, don't get me into the sociological aspects of what happened there. But yes, it did happen. It did happen, and it was almost overnight.
So what I noticed about the time, and I'm reflecting back, is you were either for or against Trump, outwardly to the public. And when I say that, it means on your social media. At the time it was Facebook and Twitter. I don't think Instagram was around then, maybe. But you were either for him or against him, and either willing or not willing to promote or talk about, your support of him on your social media. And if you did support him, you were canceled by 50% of Americans. Then the other 50 became really loyal. And what I realized was at the time is how important it is to stand up for what we believe is true, or what our values are, or what we stand for, and be very transparent about that. And I think that there's a ton of benefits in being transparent because, first of all, by being transparent, people know exactly what they're getting when they work with you, as opposed to a facade of what you're portraying to be. And then you're working with somebody, then all of a sudden they realize, oh, you're not even close to who I thought you were. And that really can cost you a lot of business. It can cost you friendships and all these other things because you've hidden some true facts about who you are and what you represent. And man, that was so transparent back in 2016. One of the things I really liked about this transparency, especially in my own life, is it allowed me to magnify my faith. And my faith in business, or where I stood within my faith. Because, like, look, we're all drawing lines in the sand, and maybe I might have been a little bit, I don't want to say secretive, but I wasn't as forward with my faith in my social media, right? But when people started drawing lines, like, you know what? I'm all in on who I am, what I stand for, what my values are, what I believe in, and who I want to be the next president. And here's where I'm going with all this, Rod, and I want you to weigh in on it too, is that I realized that my business got better. The more I ran my companies and became the leader based on my values and became more transparent, my business got better because I became more authentic and people were willing to go all in with me or not at all. And I wasted a whole lot less time by being transparent because I didn't have the get to know you phase as much. You're like, oh, okay, you stand for God and Christianity, and this is your candidate for president. I'm all in, or I'm not in at all.
Right.
And so I want to encourage, and we can continue to discuss this. I want to encourage leaders to become more values-based, more forward-facing in those values in how you lead. So what do you think?
Well, I think you're right on the money, Jim. That's what I think. I could give countless examples here. I don't know if we've got enough time on this show, but I want to draw a distinction. Number one, values are values, and there are certain things that are non-negotiable, okay?
Yeah.
And I want to separate values from politics, because politics can be misinformation versus information, and it can be perception versus reality. Values are core issues, and those are non-negotiable. And you're right, finding people, employees, business partners, et cetera, and even customers that align with your values is going to save you time, money, and a whole lot of frustration.
Yeah.
You're not going to have personnel issues, HR issues. If you're hiring people with like-minded values, you're not going to get the guy who's coming in there and using F-bombs and making derogatory comments about women or minorities or whatever. You're going to have the right people, and you're just not going to have to face a lot of the troubles that leaders who don't lead based on values are going to have. So I think it's a great topic, Jim, and you're right. I think people need to be forward-facing with their values and not hiding them. And I grew up in an era where there was a shift culturally prior to this, where people always expressed their values and their belief in God and religion and country and that sort of thing. And then it kind of went away, and the silent majority came on. And you remember this, when family got together, you didn't discuss sports, football, like that,
Yeah.
which team you represent, religion or politics. Those were the three third rails, right? You just didn't discuss those things. But it never used to be that way. Prior to that happening, everybody discussed those things, and they got on the same page, and they were able to have discussions and come to agreements, and lives were changed. And I think we really lost something when we decided that we were going to make our values subservient to what was popular.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're making that shift back, you're noticing it in your business. My wife noticed it in her business, and she shifted gears many years ago. And she's busier than she needs a clone. Okay, she needs a couple of clones, but her values are attracting the type of clients that she needs and wants. And I think that's what we all need to start doing. And now I'm going to shift gears one more time, and I'm going to talk about a friend of mine from college that is totally on the opposite spectrum as I am politically. And yet our core values, our service to others and wanting to help people and be the best people we can and help as many people as possible, those values are in alignment, but our politics are completely out of alignment. So we have to be willing as a society to realize that politics is not what defines us. Our political views aren't what define us. And there have been these wedges driven in, and some of them rightfully so, about politics and values, but not necessarily all of that. You have to find the common ground. And I guess that's what I'll leave that with. There's common ground despite people maybe having different ideas, different ideals, different values, but core values have to be fundamental. That's why we have a justice system, right? We agree that you can't steal, you can't rape, you can't murder. I mean, you can't assault people. We have rules for a reason because it's value-based. But politics has gotten enmeshed and immersed in all this secular stuff. And we have to be able to discern the difference. And I think a wise, value-based leader will have their discernment turned on high. And if they don't, they're probably not in the right position.
You brought up your wife and needing to clone her, and she's been wearing her values on her sleeve for a long time. What I believe happens in those circumstances is that it creates what I call stickiness in business. How do you create stickiness with your customers, your clients, your partners, your consumers? And that, to me, it starts with wearing your values on your sleeve and what that means and how you lead, so that there's no surprises, and people, get what you're putting out there. And we all want more stickiness. I mean, it's, when you think about big marketing budgets, you could save a lot of money if you were just open and upfront from the get-go about, what you're offering, what your product offering is, right? And generate the stickiness that way, instead of running 30 ads hoping that somebody sees it, once or twice and goes, oh, I should try that, right? So, and you get the word of mouth when you have stickiness as well, because people are excited to tell other people about what you're doing or what your product is.
Right. And who are those people going to talk to, Jim? They're going to talk to the people that they are in a circle with. And those are people who share the same values.
Sure.
So that stickiness gets more and more sticky. So it's a win-win, win-win-win all the way down the pike on this. What a great topic, Jim.
Well, what I want to say too is, we talk a lot about in our Young Entrepreneur Syndicate about the soft skills. As adjunct professors at the private school that we were working at together, hosting that class, we taught the soft skills. In your research, you've learned that the number one missing component in entrepreneurial classes is the soft skills. And so this is one of those soft skills where you can't necessarily read this in a book. You might, but when you realize the importance of placing your values into your leadership style and the way that you conduct business, all of a sudden you've thought outside the lines and you've added more depth to your offering by doing this. And I think people miss that. They want to follow the black and white lines, and it's like, well, I'm doing the best I can. I'm doing exactly what my company expects of me, or exactly what I've outlined for my business to be. But you know what? When you start putting your values into that, then all of a sudden it starts to come alive, And I'm guessing if you work for a company, if you're an entrepreneur, you're there because more than likely it's something that you want to do, or you enjoy doing it, or you're passionate about. There's probably a longer list of reasons why you're there versus, why you don't want to be there. So find your, where your heart's at in those things.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought up the black and white, because when you align with values, when your values are aligned with everything you do and the people you work with, more importantly, it goes from black and white to color.
Mm-hmm.
And what a beautiful world to be in when everything's in color and not just black and white, right? You go in and people are happy and they're jovial and they get along, and there's a symbiotic relationship between departments. I recently, and maybe I sent this to you, it was an interview with Steve Jobs, and he mentioned about committees, right? The subgroups. Did I send that to you?
Yeah.
And I thought, isn't that interesting? They didn't need subgroups and committees and all this kind of stuff. And I think, how's our government set up? Totally the opposite of that, because everyone's coming from a different value set.
Mm-hmm.
And if the values align and you are surrounding yourself with leaders whose values align, things work better and they work more efficiently. And you're able to put out the best products in a timely manner and a profitable manner, and being ahead of the curve. So again, values is the core of it all. That's in your book.
Yeah, it is. Well, let's put a bow on
Yes.
this. If you're listening and you're thinking, okay, I'm interested. I'm down to do this. Take some time and write down. I would suggest starting with writing down your personal values. And if you've got a significant other, I would do it with them. If you've got kids, do it with the whole family. Write down what your values are, what you represent, what you stand for. And then take those values and integrate them into your business philosophies if you own your own business. And if you don't own your own business, look at ways that you can integrate your values in your daily duties in the job that you're in as an entrepreneur. And sometimes those values could just be put in a hard day's work. What does that look like? Well, if you're an entrepreneur and you're supposed to be there 9 to 5, maybe that's 8:45 to 5:15, but you're giving it your all. You're not, half-assing it through the day, but you're passionate about, the hard work that you can give. So look at how you can take those values that you've established for yourself in the privacy of your home and your family, and then carry them into your business life. You will notice a difference in your happiness and in your success if you can do that. I really believe that values-based leadership is the way to go. So, Rod, any closing thoughts?
I just think it's a great topic. I'm glad you brought it up. It's important, and I think our country, the corporate structure of our country needs this, and it needs it badly, because unfortunately, what we've been promised with DEI hasn't delivered on the value end of things.
Yeah, true
It
story.
sounded good, but it's really the opposite side of a coin. So yeah, and we could dive into that on another day too. But
I
get
will
your values
say
in check.
the topic. I already know what the topic is for the next show, which we'll publish later this week. Great topic. It's an extension of this values-based leadership into some actual leaders. And so that's my little teaser. If you're listening, please tune into the next show. If you like what we're talking about, if you're interested in learning more about soft skills, how to be a successful entrepreneur, we'd love to have you in the Young Entrepreneur Syndicate. We teach both sides of the skill set. And if you're transitioning or you're looking to make some moves in your current corporation, you just want to have the edge, on top of some of the other employees that are there, we'd love to help you out and get you there. So think about joining. It's $99 a month. We meet every Monday night on Zoom at 6 p.m. Montana time. We spend 30 minutes with a relevant soft skill topic, sometimes more, and then 30 minutes of Q&A. Typically, that's how long it takes. If it goes over, we answer everybody's questions so that we can all learn from one another. So, Rod, good to see you.
Good to see you, my friend, as always.
Right on. Talk soon.